Hey Braves. So I put this video here together just to quickly go over some of the expectations for your upcoming project and to ease some of your fears for those of you who freak out anytime you hear the word research paper. I understand I wasn't a huge fan of writing research papers myself, but it is an important skill for us to be able to actually delve deeply into a topic, research it and understand it both from an aerial view and a microscopic view. And that's kind of what I'm hoping to get out of this project, a little bit of practice for research. The content itself, not so important. Now, understanding cancer and how to avoid it, well, that's actually kind of important, so hopefully you get some of that out of it. But really, this research paper isn't so focused on cancer and understanding all the minutiae. It's more about you learning how to research and delve into a topic more deeply, because that is a very important skill, especially in today's world. Regardless if you're going to be a mechanic, if you're going to work at McDonald's, if you're going to be a farmer, if you're going to be an astronaut, you need to be able to dissect a complex topic and get really deep into it. And if you don't know how to do that, well, your quality of life is going to suffer in the future. And it's just the truth. So that's why we're doing a research paper. Now, on this paper, I don't want us to just gloss over the topic and put down gobbledygook on the paper. I also don't want us to get so into the detail that I'm reading 10 or 15 pages a kid, because then I don't think I'll be able to do anything else between now and spring break. And please, please don't do that to me. Okay, so because I'm trying to kind of get a standard length of paper, I have some formatting requirements. I want you to do this in MLA format. Now, I posted an example for you in the assignment section. Just make your paper look as close to the example as I gave you, okay? That'll kind of help it out. Make sure it's in 12-point font, and don't do anything more than 1.5 spaces between lines, okay? Beyond that, the indentation and how big that is and yada 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 doesn't hurt my feelings so much, okay? So utilize MLA format, that way we can get a standard length for this paper. Now, what is the length that I'm expecting? 1.5 to 3 pages. No more than 3 pages. I don't want to read a book. But no less than 1.5 pages, because if you can't write at least 1.5 pages, that means you probably didn't do that much research and you didn't give this much effort. So 1.5 to 3 pages, that's what I'm looking for. You need a works cited page. Now, this is for me to see that you have actually gone out and got the information from reputable sources. I have included links for you on the project prompt if you're having a hard time researching this, but make sure you are citing your sources in a works cited page. Your works cited page does not count for your total length. So if you think you're going to give me a 2-page works cited and then 1 page worth of writing, that's not going to work. Like, 3 pages of works cited in 1 paragraph. Don't do that. Okay, so the last thing I want to quickly do in this video, other than explain the due date, is go through some of the topics and questions that you need to address in your research paper. Now, I put quite a bit of questions in here, and I don't want you to have a research paper where you're just answering questions. Just make this actually sound like a paper that somebody would want to read. You want to talk about the subject, discuss the subject, and include some of the information that I have here on these prompts, okay, on these questions that I included. So what am I looking for in your paper? How does cancer work? Meaning, what does the cell actually do to develop cancer? How does it develop cancer to begin with? What goes wrong? What is cancer itself? Like, it's repeating cells, obviously, but what's different between cancer and regular mitosis? You want to get into the details. How does it develop? How does it grow? How does it grow? Well, they actually send out signals, and then new blood vessels will grow to them. It's called angiogenesis. So that's the type of thing I'm looking for you to explain in how does cancer work, okay? What does it do to the body? Well, if all you're doing is growing an extra cells, why can't you just cut that off and be fine? Well, that's because it's doing other things to the body beyond just growing in one spot. Okay, so you want to look into, well, how does it work? What causes cancer? So then you're looking into not necessarily just the mistake in DNA, but what caused that mistake in the DNA? Are there things in the environment or things genetically that make you more likely to have those mistakes and develop cancer? When I say environmental factors, things like, what you eat, what you drink, the air that you breathe, your exposure to sunlight, your exposure to x-rays and things like that. Just kind of address all of the things that increase your likelihood to get cancer. That's what I'm looking for in that. What are some of the common types of cancer? Obviously, we're all aware of breast cancer and skin cancer. Those seem to be two of the more common ones. But there's some other very common types of cancer that seldom go talked about, and it's important for you to understand what they are and what to look for, right? And what are some of the more dangerous ones? Well, we all know, at least for men, that prostate cancer happens to be a big killer. So there's different types that, you get a little bit of skin cancer, depending on what type it is. It's not a big deal. But then there's other types of cancers. If you don't catch it quickly, you don't have long, to remain on this earth. What treatments currently exist for cancer? How do they work and how effective are they? Not every treatment works equally. Sometimes chemo is exactly the thing you want to do. But there are other drugs available and other treatments available that might be more effective depending on the type of cancer. So look into those. Give me a few. You don't have to list every single one that exists, but talk about a few of them and explain them a bit. What are we considering in the future in terms of future treatments? There's things like CRISPR, which we're using to edit genes and of living things right now, that we may end up using for cancer in the future. There's also the talk of nanorobots going in and individually working on the cells that are going haywire. So what are some of those more futuristic but potential cures or treatments for cancer? Have fun with that part of the topic. And finally, do you have a personal connection to the disease? Or is there a celebrity that you would like to use as an example in this paper? I'm not asking you to give me a biography on your personal connection. Maybe your aunt had cancer. My aunt had breast cancer. I would use her in this paper as an example in the different parts of the paper that I was talking about. For instance, when I got to this section on breast cancer, I might bring up the fact that, hey, my aunt had breast cancer, and this was the treatment that she had. And maybe when I'm talking about the different treatments, I bring her up again as an example. And I also bring up some of the things that she used to get herself over cancer. Noni juice, Tahitian noni juice, was one of the things that she tried, and apparently had good enough results because she's been cancer-free for the last 20 years. So I would use that personal example in my writing throughout the paper so that it's more personal to the reader and more interesting, instead of just writing a bunch of gobbledygook that came off of an internet webpage. Again, if you don't have somebody in your family or one of your friends or a family friend or something like that who has had cancer, well, go look up a celebrity. Tons of celebrities have had cancer over the years, and they've all had varying different types and different experiences with the treatments, and some of them didn't make it. So you could bring one of those up. So that last part, the personal connection or the celebrity connection, I don't want like a paragraph about them. Include them in your paper throughout as one of your main anecdotes, so to speak. Hope that makes sense. So that kind of wraps up the whole project. The last thing I want to talk about, and this is very important for all of you, is the due date. The due date for this is actually the Wednesday we get back. So, February 8th and 9th, which is this week, it's a 2-day week. And there's a bunch of stuff that teachers are doing for parent-teacher conferences and all that. I don't expect you to work on this when you're supposed to be off on break. So I want you to work on it Monday and Tuesday, February 8th and 9th. And then if you want, take a break until we get back that Tuesday. Pick it up again Tuesday, work on it Tuesday and Wednesday, and get it turned in Wednesday before midnight. If you need more time, shoot me an email. And if I get enough emails saying, hey, we didn't have enough time, I will extend the deadline. I'm not going to be too crazy about this, because as soon as we're done with this research project, I've got one lab for you, and then we're moving on to meiosis, which is sexual reproduction. We're going to go into how egg cells and sperm cells form. It's very similar. So I'm not in a rush. I want you guys to do this well, and I want you to do your due diligence with this, okay? So if you need more time, let me know. But for right now, the idea is that this project will be due the week we get back on that Wednesday. So hopefully that both explains this and lowers your fears, and that, it's not all doom and gloom. I'm giving you the time you need, and if you need a little bit more, let me know, and we'll get it worked out. Cool? So I've got helpful links on here. I'm available to help you work through this as needed. Go forth, write a wonderful research paper, and good luck. I'll see you guys probably next week. Later, Braves.